I don't believe in a higher power or karma, but in the last 2 weeks, not a single team that I've been rooting for has won. So apologies to these teams, it's entirely my fault. Hello and welcome back to the Atlantic Weekend Replay. With the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, we have no reason to mention American football at all, which is okay because it means that the Six Nations swings in to help us with our weekly dose of egg-shaped balls, which means that we start in Europe this week. In the first week of the spring tournament, we saw each of the favourites, Ireland, France and Scotland, beat England, Wales and Italy respectively. Now, looking at the world rankings, none of these results were that surprising. France and Ireland are both in the world top four, and Scotland had pipped England to that 6th and 7th place. But the most surprising result from the weekend was certainly France's decimation of a young Welsh team, 43-0. Now, last year, Wales performed slightly better in the same fixture and put up 24 points to France's 45, but the difference may well have been the return of scrum half Antoine Dupont for the French team. Dupont is widely recognised as one of the best players in the world, and he put up a sublime kicked assist to open the scoring. Now, we talked about rugby on episode 8 of the Atlantic podcast, but we tried to stay away from getting bogged down in the rules of the gameplay of rugby. But if you're unfamiliar with the game, I would highly recommend watching the highlights of this match to show you a good perspective of what good rugby looks like when it's played really, really well. Taking a cheeky pit stop in the Champions League, and the initial league stage of the competition has come to a close last week, and while a few giant clubs were in jeopardy, Man City, Juventus and PSG all managed to wriggle away from the risk of elimination, albeit at the cost of a few very juicy playoff games en route to the knockout stage next month. Now, if World Cycling had a Mount Rushmore for the current generation of talent, you'd see the boyish faces of Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard etched into the faces of the Alps. Now, two of these titans competed last weekend in the Cyclocross World Championship, as Wout van Aert battled back from the 4th row of the grid to reach second, but still some considerable distance behind the champion, Mathieu van der Poel, who cruised away from the pack. Now, we're going to enjoy watching these two battles through the Spring Classics, but when we get into the Summer Tours, all eyes will firmly be set on Pogacar and Vingegaard. Now, finishing this Europe-heavy episode, we're going to swap back to the USA, where Caitlin Clark and Aja Wilson both had their numbers retired by their college teams. In a moment of lovely symmetry, both players' numbers were 22, and they were retired on the 2nd of February. And that's all we have time for this week. It's nice to drift into a couple of other sports in between that football rat run in the beginning of February. So I'll leave you with my mystery athlete clue for the week. My mystery athlete won medals at 4 non-consecutive Olympics.